Hello. In this demonstration, I will show how to use brain-computer interfaces and Google Cloud machine learning and artificial intelligence services to build a simple neurohacking system at home where you can experiment with nootropics, food supplements, to do the home-based experiment if those nootropics really help in any way to enhance your concentration, your consciousness level. Also, I will demonstrate how to leverage ultrasound stimulation, leveraging simple ultrasound device, and achieve low dose of for nootropics, basically targeting special part of the brain. And finally, we'll show how to leverage um, some brain-computer interfaces to set up a sleeping lab at home and do the experiment to play with the lucid dreams and brain-computer interfaces for neurofeedback. Okay, with all of that, let me start. So for this demo, I'm using a couple devices. One of them is emotive brain-computer interface that I'm using to collect the signature of my EEG. And let's first show this is the user interface that demonstrates the quality of a signal that I might get from this device. And right now the contact quality is 75%, which is good. Okay, now as you can see, right now this nice UI show me the 3D picture of certain part of my brain that is active, and you can actually make it a little bit bigger and look at different projections. Let's check a look in different projection and maybe look at from the top. Okay, so far so good. So we see that the frontal part of my brain is actually lightening. And you might notice the different colors, and different colors represent different frequency, typical frequency that brain can generate. Alpha, beta, theta, and gamma. And these interfaces actually tell you about a type of frequency. For those who is not really familiar, you can check it on the website of emotive. But basically, for the theta, you can see it's manifested as a blue. Here you can play and enhance it a little bit, so adjusting the threshold. So now we see what part of my brain is actively generating theta. And that's typically slow wave activity that we might see during the meditation or drowsiness. So that might be a good point if you try to meditate at home. That might be one that you would like to use. The alpha wave is basically the sign of relaxation. It's manifested by purple. The easiest way to manifest alpha rhythm is just close your eyes and start to relax. The beta is typically a frequency associated with activity and task-oriented when you do some mathematical tasks, or you're busy or anxious. That might be another good signature to control when you would like to control your concentration. And it's with the light channel light. Let's see what part of the brain is lightened. As you can see, I'm adjusting the threshold, so basically increasing the sensitivity for visualization. And the final frequency, you can see amount from 25. It's highly frequent activity that typically occur in the demanded mental or motor functions. Let's adjust the threshold and see how it behaves. Okay. All right, so far so good. Now, how are we going to use this device? I use simple Node.js code that I provided in my blog. Right now, I'm just going to run this code. And what it actually does, I will explain in a moment. Let's wait for a moment and hopefully, yes. So as you can see, it's now will start to collect data from EEG, and basically it sends some information. It show my alpha, beta, as you can see, those signals collected in real time, and that basically the numbers demonstrate the power of the spectrum. It also provides some additional information. Each signal, I think, goes like every second, and I'm collecting this information in the Google Warehouse BigQuery, and then I use this storage to train machine learning to do the classification. Okay, what type of classification we can create? So for my experiment, I would like to play with different emotional states, and also play with different nootropic supplements that you can buy out of the counter, and claim that it might enhance your creativity, concentration, and so on. Also, you can play with the meditations and other things. One way that I would like to illustrate is let's see if this interface will manifest different emotional states. Right now, I'm going to use my emotional pictures that make certain sense to myself, and we'll see if it's actually can provide a distinguished pattern that I can use to train machine learning models. So I'm not going to anybody who would like to experiment with those interfaces, they can basically create your own data that make sense for you, or it's maybe a music or something, and basically use it to train a machine learning system. Okay, let's play with another one. Okay, now let's try another state. I'm going to use another cue to induce certain amount of. And when you play with this interface, you actually can see that on the emotional state, the power of certain frequency up and down might be used by machine learning interface for the classification. And again, when you play with those thresholds, you can actually see that different rhythms dominate during different emotional states. Great. Okay, now let's do another experiment. As I mentioned, we would like to leverage supplements, make sure that those food supplements at low dose can be delivered to specific brain. To do that, I'm going to use a simple ultrasound device. The details of the device presented in the blog. Now let me start to stimulate part of my brain through the skull, and we can see if you will realize it's stimulating. And it's quite visible, so you probably notice that it's on the left. Now let me change position of the, and it's from the demo that you can see what part of the brain I'm stimulating. So the point of that was that I would like not trop percolate and cross the blood-brain barrier in certain part of my brain and activate certain regions. What it let do is actually minimize the nut, like even the caffeine. So what you can do is actually have a very low dose of the caffeine and essentially stimulate certain part of the brain that will allow the caffeine penetrate to certain parts. And the feature of this interface that you actually can um, also map the activity to a certain brain area, like a frontal cortex, or for example, if you stimulate a certain part of the brain and you would like to kind of map it to the region, you clearly see like parietal cortex, which is I right now stimulating with my small ultrasound device. Yeah, you see how it's actually lighting right now. Obviously, you probably should be very careful when you play with this ultrasound device. I use very low intensity and don't expose myself to more than a few seconds. That's actually a very open area, and researchers do a lot of interesting stuff here. Okay, so let's move on. I will demonstrate another tool I'm using. Which is another interface which provides me with more coverage. Unlike Emotive, the Neurosity interface give me more electrodes. It's providing me with 8 electrodes in total that give me a higher coverage of my skull, and I can collect more data and train more precise machine learning. Let's start. I'm changing the device right now. Now I'm wearing Neurosity, the first class device. Now they have a more advanced machine, but this Neurosity, the first generation, is good enough. As you can see, this is the EEG that I'm passing to my cloud-based pipeline for classification. It's provide me some information about frequency, a specific electrode, that again, same information about alpha, beta, delta, gamma, theta that we saw from the previous interface in 3D visualization. You can do some additional analysis and leverage this interface to collect more data. But again, the point is the same. I can expose myself to certain emotional cues and collect the signature. Those signatures get stored in the cloud and used to do the classification. And the final device that I would like to demonstrate right now that I'm using is allow me to bring the brain-computer interface and create a sleep lab at home. So I'm leveraging ZMax device that detect my rapid eye movement during the sleep. And let me turn it on first. And this device is very helpful if you would like to activate and help yourself to get to the lucid dreams. It's basically a special type of sleep where you can be aware about your states. This device provide you graphical user interface. Again, it gives you some EEG, which is kind of limited, but it's not the point. I am using my brain-computer interfaces to collect EEG signals and use it to do the classification. So I'm primarily using ZMax as a device that detect the dream state with a rapid eye movement and generate the visual cues. So basically, you can create. Let me show that. So basically, you can decide what colors, what's going to be frequency, and the pattern that's going to be generated by the device, and you can get stimulated, meaning that at certain time during the sleep, the device will start flashing or produce sound. And at the same time, I'm using my brain-computer interface to collect my EEG. And again, you can run all sorts of interesting experiments. Like one experiment would be, let me switch back to, um, switch back to emotive. So one type of experiment that you can run is actually, again, try to classify what was your emotional state during the sleep. Or if you get to the lucid dream stage, again, using the classification approach I demonstrate a few minutes ago, you can actually try to understand what was your emotional state during the lucid dreams. Some people even move further and you actually can control your eye movement during the sleep, and with a controlling eye movement, you actually can change the signature of your EEG and create sort of like two-way communication between yourself dreaming and getting in the regaining consciousness within a dream, and communicate with your computer. Thank you for your attention. If there is any question, feel free to comment on our blog or reach us directly for any further clarification or discussion and comments. Thank you.